Well, we all know what transgenic food is, and we know the controversy around it. The claims that they have undesirable effects or that they are dangerous to consume. But are all of these claims real? For a little bit of context, genetically modified organisms or GMOs started being used around the 80s. And just like anything that's new and unknown to the public, there's always this debate that whether they are more beneficial or more harmful. A lot of scientists say that genetically modified food may be the only way we can feed the world population nowadays. But they are still facing and fighting against this same argument that people used to say 40 years ago when we started to modify food. But I can assure you that genetically modified organisms are not as bad as people say. They are not a threat to health nor the environment and are even cheaper and easier to produce than conventional food. Let's start with my first point. There is no real evidence that transgenic food is harmful to health. People often tend to say that they cause cancer or that they cause allergic reactions, but the National Academy of Science ruled out the possibility that they cause cancer just by comparing data from cancer statistics from years before and after the starting of the consumption of transgenic food. Also, the same organism carried out a study to prove if transgenic food caused any form of allergic reaction, but it didn't show any evidence to support these claims. But they found out something interesting. It can be indirectly beneficial for health, just because transgenic food does not need as much insecticide as conventional food. Also, in 2016, a meta-analysis from many studies showed that all of them concluded that transgenic food does not cause any harmful impact on health. So we can say that all evidence and studies points towards a safe consumption of GMOs. And you may be thinking, okay, there is no harmful effect on us, but what about the environment? Well, I can assure you also that transgenic food is not harmful to the environment just because it is not by nature. You see, humans have been experimenting on creating better crops for millennia by selective breeding. This is not part of nature. We created the better specimens by combining the best possible type of crops of our selection. This is the same process which is just evolved, and we can now edit the genome, which leads to less surprises. So if there's an error or something that is not wanted, experts can easily track down the error in the genome and change it, edit it, so it is more specific to what is needed. So when it's released for massive use, it is less likely that there will be a negative effect on the environment. Also, people it is worried about the genetic diversity because this is extremely important for a population or animal, for a population of plants or animals to survive. But transgenic food adds to this. Let's take, for example, a region that produces just one type of potato. If there's a parasite or a bacteria that kills this type of potato and gets to that region, the food production of this potato will be ceased in the whole region. But what if instead of just one type of potato, we produce four? Maybe two that are normal and two that are transgenic. The same parasite or virus will get to that region and will only seize one type of potato, but you still got three more to still produce some food. So the human has always modified the environment, but with GMOs, we're trying to minimize that impact and control it at the same time. Now that I've talked about a little about the negative effects, the supposedly negative effects, I want to talk about another advantage. GMOs are specifically modified to be more efficient. The United, and you may be asking why. Well, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization predicts by that 2050, the world population will grow to the point that we'll need to produce 70% more food to keep up with the world's development. So we have two options here. We reduce or control the population, or we find a way to improve food production. And since we don't want the first one, we have to opt out for the second option. And GMOs are our best option. Why? Because they are cheaper, more productive, and do not need constant care to grow. We can agree that they are indeed easier to take care of just because they are engineered and modified to take up less water, less nutrients, and to not need pesticides to keep insects away from eating them. So this makes it easier to produce food and to help end global hunger. Also, the less use of water, insecticide, and fertilizer translates into less money to use, so it is more efficient. So to summarize everything, studies showed that there is no negative health impact on GMOs consumption, no negative impact on the environment, and can be produced more easily. So I'm encouraging you to abandon the idea that GMOs are bad for us, because they are not, and they are the future of food production. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvaro. Could you stop recording, please?